Nathan Cole was the kind of kid people overlooked. Quiet, reserved, and often the target of bullies who saw him as easy prey. But 20 years later, those same bullies walked into his office, resumes in hand, desperate for a job. They never imagined he'd be the one sitting behind the desk. Hey there, and welcome to Life Tales. Let's dive in. Back in his days at Oak Hill Academy, Nathan Cole never quite fit in. While most of his classmates flaunted brand new outfits and trendy backpacks, Nathan wore clothes from second-hand stores and carried a faded old bag passed down from his cousin. It wasn't just his appearance that made him a target, it was his relentless focus on schoolwork and his naturally quiet demeanor. That combination seemed to draw the worst kind of attention from the other kids. At home, things weren't easy either. His parents juggled multiple jobs just to keep the lights on and food on the table. His dad had worked as a machinist at the local factory until it shut down, forcing him to take on two grueling jobs: fixing cars during the week and working security shifts on the weekends. His mom spent her days ringing up groceries at the local supermarket, then cleaned office buildings in the evenings. Even with their tough financial situation, they made one thing crystal clear: education was everything. They reminded Nathan every single day that knowledge was something no one could ever take away from him. At school, the torment came mostly from a pack of popular athletes, led by Eric Morgan and Kyle Peterson. They made it their mission to make Nathan miserable, knocking books from his hands, making fun of his worn-out clothes, and ensuring he was excluded from every social event. While other students laughed and joked in the cafeteria, Nathan sat alone in the library, diving deep into books about engineering and business, quietly eating the basic sandwiches his mom packed each morning to save money. "Hey Cole," Eric would sneer whenever he saw him in the halls. "Still working on your people skills? Or are you too busy sucking up to the teachers?" The thing was, Nathan actually spoke well, he just didn't see the point in wasting words on people who weren't willing to listen. The worst of it came during junior year. Nathan had been chosen to represent Oak Hill at a statewide engineering competition. He'd spent months developing a groundbreaking project aimed at improving automation in factories. But the night before the competition, Eric and Kyle broke into his locker and destroyed the whole thing. They left behind a crumpled note that read, "Know your place, per boy." Nathan never said a word to his parents about what happened. He saw how exhausted they were every night and didn't want to pile on more stress. So instead of complaining, he poured all his frustration and pain into rebuilding his project, staying up into the early hours to start from scratch. Against all odds, he still took home first place at the competition. But back at school, hardly anyone noticed or cared. When Nathan graduated in 2003, he left his small town behind and headed to MIT on a full scholarship to study mechanical engineering. At the airport, his parents hugged him tightly, tears of pride streaming down their cheeks. "Don't forget who you are," his dad told him. "My father used to say it's not where you begin, it's where you're headed and how you get there that counts." MIT was a turning point for Nathan. For the first time, he was surrounded by people who truly understood his passion for engineering and innovation. He quickly stood out for his ability to analyze and optimize manufacturing systems with remarkable insight. By senior year, he'd developed a breakthrough in precision manufacturing that drew attention from several top industrial firms. But instead of taking one of the many high-paying offers on the table, Nathan had another idea in mind. He teamed up with two of his classmates, secured a small business loan, and launched Cole Precision Manufacturing, a startup focused on crafting ultra-precise components for the automotive and aerospace sectors. In the beginning, it was far from glamorous. They worked out of a rented warehouse in Ohio, lived in cramped apartments, and funneled every cent back into the business. Still, Nathan's forward-thinking techniques and relentless commitment to quality quickly set them apart. While countless manufacturers were shipping jobs overseas, Cole Precision proved that American industry still had a fighting chance, if it prioritized detail, craftsmanship, and efficiency. By 2015, the company had gone from 3 determined founders in a tiny warehouse to a thriving enterprise with over 500 employees across 3 major facilities. Their client list included some of the biggest names in the automotive and aerospace worlds, and Cole Precision had earned a reputation for offering top-tier jobs with outstanding pay. Then in 2023, during a routine meeting with his HR director, a familiar name jumped out at Nathan. Among a stack of resumes for a production manager role was one that read, Eric Morgan. As Nathan scanned the document, a strange feeling churned in his gut. Eric Morgan had followed a fairly typical career path: college, a string of management roles at different manufacturing firms, and a track record that was solid but nothing particularly impressive. Now, at 38, he found himself job hunting after his last company relocated its operations to Mexico. Just a week later, another familiar name showed up: Kyle Peterson. He'd applied for a different role, but it was clear that the economic downturn had hit their hometown hard, forcing many seasoned professionals to look elsewhere for work. Nathan sat quietly in his office, gazing out over the factory floor. His mind wandered to those old memories: eating lunch alone in the library, watching his project get ruined, and enduring years of quiet humiliation. Turning them away would have been easy. Some would say it was exactly what they deserved. But then his father's voice echoed in his memory, those words about what truly defines a person. Nathan realized that success had given him something his bullies never had: the freedom to choose how he wanted to respond. "Get HR on the line," Nathan told his assistant. "I want interviews scheduled for both of them. But don't mention who owns the company." Eric was the first to arrive. He wore a suit that had clearly seen better days. Gone was the cocky confidence of high school. In its place was the quiet humility of someone who knew the sting of failure. During the initial screening with HR and team leads, Eric held his own. He did well enough to move forward to the final stage, a one-on-one meeting with the CEO. The moment Eric stepped into Nathan's office, everything changed. His face went pale as he locked eyes with the man behind the desk. "Eric," Nathan said with a calm smile. "Take a seat." Eric lowered himself into the chair slowly, gripping the armrests as if bracing for impact. "Nathan, I didn't know. I had no idea," he stammered. Nathan raised a hand to pause him. "Before we talk about the role," he said, "let's talk about Oak Hill Academy." What followed was a conversation that had been 2 decades in the making. Eric opened up about his past. The chaos at home, the emotional fallout of his parents' bitter divorce, and the anger he hadn't known how to process. Bullying, he admitted, had made him feel powerful when the rest of his world felt out of control. He shared how becoming a father himself had forced him to reflect on the pain he might have caused others. It hit him hard. "I've thought about reaching out so many times," Eric said, his voice breaking. "What we did to you, what I did, it was cruel. And I'm truly ashamed of it." Nathan listened without interrupting, watching the man who had once been his worst tormentor now struggle to keep his composure. Finally, he responded. "Thank you for your honesty, Eric," Nathan said. "Now let's talk about how you can contribute to Cole Precision." Kyle's interview played out in a similar fashion: recognition, remorse, and a heartfelt apology. After high school, Kyle had spiraled into addiction, but eventually turned his life around. He had been clean for several years and was now working hard to rebuild his career. In the end, Nathan offered both men positions, but not the ones they had hoped for. He made it clear they'd have to start at the bottom just like he had. No shortcuts, no special treatment. They would prove themselves through grit, effort, and integrity on the factory floor, doing the toughest jobs first. And both men accepted. Today, Eric and Kyle are valued team members at Cole Precision. Eric runs production at the main plant and Kyle heads up quality control. They've stuck to their promise to pay it forward, mentoring younger employees and openly sharing their past mistakes as powerful lessons about the long-lasting effects of bullying. Nathan still walks the factory floor regularly and he crosses paths with them often. Their conversations are professional, but there's an unspoken depth and understanding shaped by what they've all been through. There's also something deeper, the quiet acknowledgement that people can change. That success isn't just about climbing the ladder, it's about who you become along the way. And sometimes, the biggest win doesn't come from getting even, but from giving someone the chance to grow. These days, Nathan doesn't spend much time looking in the rearview mirror. He's focused on leading his company, staying competitive against global markets, and proving that American manufacturing still has fight left in it. Eric and Kyle earned their place not through apologies, but through hard work and persistence, just like Nathan did when he built this company from the ground up. No shortcuts. No excuses. Just results. When new hires ask Nathan about the secret to his success, he shares the same advice his father once gave him. It's not about where you begin. It's about how far you're willing to push yourself to get where you want to go. The fact that 2 of the boys who once bullied him now help run his company isn't just a story about redemption. It's a reminder that real respect isn't handed out. It's earned through effort, through growth, and through action. Enjoyed this story? Tap that like button and subscribe for more. And don't miss the video on your screen, we've got another powerful story coming your way. See you next time.